smaller person, anything can happen. Anybody can be knocked out. Because remember, the chin don't lift weights. That's what I always say.
As heavyweights as the sparring, or bigger people, like from middleweight to heavyweight. And the thing is, don't be surprised, okay? This is a photo. This is a photo of one of the bigger guys that he was sparring.
Floyd Mayweather was truly shocked after seeing that Gervonta knocked out a heavyweight during sparring for the Jake Paul fight. He said, "People still don't understand that size doesn't decide boxing. A bigger body can fall just as fast if the opponent has speed, power, and perfect timing." Floyd explained that a smaller fighter can absolutely knock out a larger one, and Tank just proved that again by dropping a man way up.
Anybody can be knocked out, so I don't put nothing past nobody. I can be knocked out. Hit me from the blind side. I mean, that's most time how fighters get knocked out, with the hook. You can't see a hook coming because it comes from the blind side. But as far as with boxing, I don't really need to beef with, I really don't need to beef with nobody in the sport of boxing. Even though it could be some people I really don't like, I don't need to beef with nobody. They ain't got what I got. They boxers. I'm a businessman. And then on the outside, most times, my motherfucker got beef with me because they ain't got what I got.
Gervonta has made a career out of challenging himself against bigger men long before this upcoming clash. Coaches around him believe testing his explosiveness against athletes with far more mass keeps him sharp and comfortable under pressure. That preparation style forces him to stay quick on his feet and punch with precise timing. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is putting in his own hours alongside shorter, elusive boxers to build familiarity with someone extremely mobile. Both sides accept that physical differences alone don't decide outcomes. Davis has been molded by years of conditioning built around durability. Paul is building strategies to cut distance and find clean angles. With every session, both sides prepare for a matchup where smart tactics and discipline may outweigh raw size.
Or bigger people, like from middleweight to heavyweight. And the thing is, don't be surprised, okay? This is a photo. This is a photo of one of the bigger guys that he was sparring. But in the past, you know, like maybe a few years ago, he was fighting a guy in Mayweather's camp. He was a bigger guy. I think he was like a middleweight or something like that. He was whooping his ass. One time he was like on live whooping a bigger guy's ass. I mean, he's just beating bigger guys like middleweights and stuff. He's done that in sparring forever. Remember this story? I've brought it up a million times and I've showed this clip a million times, but on Ellie Set Back. This story of this guy saying how Gervonta Tank Davis knocked out this heavyweight.
Tell me the story. What happened?
Tank, what's the one boy name?
No, don't say a name. I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Oh, no, you're right.
But tell people what happened.
Man, I was about to spar. Before I was about to spar Tank, he was sparring this big boy.
A heavyweight.
Heavyweight boy. And Tank hit that nigga. He hit him so hard that he was on the top of the rope just like this. I'm like, I thought he died. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought he died.
Hey, I've seen him knock out some heavyweights. He might knock all the ass out now.
You knocked out a heavyweight?
Yeah.
How was that?
Because I hit harder than Wilder.
Now, granted, the heavyweight that Gervonta Tank Davis is whooping and sparring is not like, you know, all-time great heavyweights, all right? And it shouldn't be. But he's sparring the heavyweight, the level of heavyweight that, you know, more experienced than Jake Paul, right? But Jake Paul has beaten those heavyweights himself, all right? I'm thinking that is the caliber of heavyweight that Gervonta Tank Davis is sparring, but he's whooping their asses. And that's a good thing. Honestly, I feel with Jake Paul sparring Raymond Ford, to me, it looked like Raymond Ford got the best of him. It looked like Jake Paul was a little exhausted, and it looked like Raymond Ford wasn't. It looked like Jake Paul was a little disappointed in his performance, and Raymond Ford was trying to give him a pick-me-up. Like, you know, just kind of letting him out. No, like, you know, we do this and do that. It just looked like Raymond Ford was in a confident, secure place, more dominant place, the more alpha out the two in the ring. And that's Raymond Ford. That ain't Gervonta Davis. You know, I love Raymond Ford. I have him on my fighters list. But still, I don't think anyone thinks he's as skillful or as powerful as Gervonta Tank Davis.
Recent camp reports say gym regulars have watched Davis drop partners much taller and stronger. Observers described scenes where imposing big men struggled to stay upright after taking his punches. The surprise wasn't that he hit them hard, but how much difference his accuracy made when he found the chin. People who stepped into that ring expecting to bully him quickly realized it was a mistake. The whispers from inside training suggest his power carries shock value far beyond lightweight divisions. That builds confidence for Davis and sends a subtle warning to anyone assuming mass will protect them from his strikes. His upper body momentum and compact stance help him generate force quickly. That combination makes his knockout potential dangerous, no matter who stands opposite him.
Look at this. Gervonta Davis knocked out heavyweight in brutal sparring session, and it just makes me think. You're willing to go spar with heavyweights, but you're not willing to go fight people that you should be fighting. You know what I mean? You're fighting Lamont Roach. His sparring partners was like, man, I was about to spar Tank. He was sparring this big boy, a heavyweight boy. And Tank hit him so hard, he was on the ropes like this, hanging. I thought he died. I was like, man, I hope you don't do this stuff to me. When Davis asked to confirm whether it was true, the WBA lightweight champion said, stuff be happening. Best not to get in there with me. That's it. This guy has all the skills in the world to knock out even heavyweights in sparring, and yet he won't fight Shakur Stevenson. He won't fight Teofimo Lopez. He won't fight anyone that he needs to fight to become great. He's fighting Frank Martin and Lamont Roach. You know what I mean? It's just truly crazy. But hey, it's his career. If he wants to just make money, the easiest money that he can without fighting the hardest competition.
A popular boxing analyst recently mentioned that judging Davis by his most recent contest completely ignores his long record of strong finishes. Even in a night where expectations weren't met, he survived every round and maintained his composure. That ability to stay calm while solving problems is something only seasoned competitors possess. Paul has demonstrated courage, but he hasn't experienced the same high-level situations where a single mistake could cost everything. For Davis, tough nights become lessons. For Paul, difficult moments still present unknown outcomes. Fans rushing to conclusions seem to forget how many elite fighters Davis dismantled through patience and timing. Calling for an upset doesn't erase the difference in ring knowledge. Experience in critical moments often becomes the deciding factor.
Jake Paul is not beating Tank Davis. Can't believe I actually have to make this video, but let's break this down. The fact that there's actually credible names in the boxing industry saying that Jake Paul's gonna KO Tank Davis is wild. Look, I know Tank Davis's last performance against Lamont Roach was not that good. And in recent years, he's devalued his stock as a fighter by cherry picking, being extremely inactive, and just straight up fighting lazy sometimes. But let's not forget the offensive powerhouse that Tank Davis is. When he's on, he's one of the best knockout punchers in the sport today. He usually fights very economical the first few rounds, whether that's by strategy or that's just a habit he's had ever since he started boxing. But he starts out very slow in the first few rounds. But once he starts to let his hands go, and that snowball starts running downhill, there's almost nothing in the sport of boxing that can stop that. You need a guy who has elite defense to be able to stop an offensive assault like that. Only guys like Shakur Stevenson, Deron Ennis, and maybe Devin Haney have the ability to stop that. And then we have Jake Paul. Yes, he's 6'2". Yes, he's going to be 200 pounds in the ring. But as you can see with his fight with Tommy Fury, he has poor defense. Whenever he faces another boxer who actually knows what they're doing, once they let their hands go, Jake doesn't know what to do. He's not comfortable defending, whether that's moving his feet or moving his head or just having a tight high guard. He doesn't do it. He gets fatigued and starts dropping his hands, and that would be fine if he had good movement to make up for it. But he doesn't. He has some pretty decent offense, but he mainly throws punches and combinations for the first 4 or 5 rounds and then gets fatigued. He's not a true one-punch knockout artist, and he's not a very good strategic fighter either when it comes to winning decisions. So what's going to happen is Jake Paul's going to throw combinations for the first 4 or 5 rounds, and then right when he gets tired, Tank's going to come on strong and start unloading with the hardest punches that Jake Paul has ever been hit with. And he'll get stopped. It might not be a one-punch knockout, but Jake Paul will get stopped.
Carl Froch, widely respected for his accomplishments in professional boxing, raised alarms about overall safety in this special matchup. His concern revolves around a significant physical discrepancy that could create danger if uncontrolled. Froch believes governing bodies usually require fighters to compete within similar categories to avoid extreme mismatches. He understands spectacle sells tickets, yet part of him worries about how much punishment someone far smaller can absorb from a stronger puncher. Coming from a veteran who has endured brutal battles, his statements hold credibility. His goal seems less about criticizing and more about making sure no one leaves the ring seriously harmed.
I don't really take Jake Paul that serious, he can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, I just he's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Analysts observing Gervonta Davis throughout his training camp have noted a level of concentration that reflects how seriously he is taking this matchup. There is no joking around, no hint of distraction. Everything about his preparation suggests a fighter who knows what is at stake. Experts point out that this fight represents far more than a single payday. By defeating Jake Paul, Davis would place himself in front of a massive global audience that follows Paul's every move. That exposure could elevate his profile beyond the traditional boxing fan base and create major opportunities in future events. With that reward on the line, Davis appears fully committed to delivering a statement performance. Coaches say his punches are thrown with purpose. His conditioning is pushed to the limit, and every moment in the gym is treated like a crucial investment. Those within the camp are convinced he is preparing to prove a point, not simply show up.
Conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not gonna have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash, like you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belts and all of that.
Teofimo Lopez, one of boxing's brightest young champions, sees the event as a business-first decision. He explained that not every contest must revolve around historical merit or championship belts. Sometimes the market demands entertainment value, and both competitors respond wisely. Lopez believes fighters deserve opportunities to secure financial stability while expanding their fan bases. As long as the competitors deliver excitement, audiences get their money's worth. There's no need to pretend every matchup is destined for Hall of Fame impact. Celebrating huge success and media visibility can also be a strategic win for both men involved.
Happy for Gervonta and Jake. I really am, man. It's good for the sport in some way,
So a heavyweight versus a lightweight.
Yeah.
You got a fly hit me, yeah. A heavyweight versus a lightweight. How's this gonna work?
Hey, they make it work. It's an exhibition for a reason. So, they know what they're doing. And, shout out to Netflix and shout out to both of them, honestly. Like I said, I think a lot of people in the boxing world are kind of upset. I could care less. I think they're going to go out there and make their money. It falls on the number 8 for a reason. They're going to make a lot of money.
Have you got a prediction for that fight?
My prediction? A show.
Well, clearly it's a show, but when you've got a lot of people underestimating Jake Paul once again, but when you've got a heavyweight boxer who knows how to throw punches and knows the basics against a lightweight, it's quite a difference. I mean, have you sparred heavyweights before?
Yeah.
For competitive sparring in the ring?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same, not at all. Definitely got to move. I've actually played around a few times, went through between their legs just to duck around. But yeah, because they're taller, you know. But I think for that competition, that fight, it reminds me a lot like The Big Show, and Floyd Mayweather when they fought in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And will that end the same way?
Possibly. Maybe some brass knuckles in there too.
Can you see Jake Paul knocking out Gervonta Davis?
It's boxing, man. And if it's a show like this, anything goes, anything happens.
Happy for Gervonta and Jake. I really am, man. It's good for the sport in some way, you know. So, a heavyweight versus a lightweight. Yeah. You gotta fly hit me. Yeah. A heavyweight versus a lightweight. How's this going to work? Hey, they make it work. It's an exhibition for a reason. So, you know, they know what they're doing, and you know, shout out to Netflix and shout out to both of them. Honestly. Like I said, I think a lot of people in the boxing world are kind of upset. I could care less. I think they're going to go out there, make their money. It falls on the number 8 for a reason. They're going to make a lot of money. Have you got a prediction for that fight?
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul. One of the most influential and marketable global personalities, Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proved time and time again that he's not a professional fighter, so Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
Dana White, business leader of the world's biggest MMA organization, shared blunt thoughts about the spectacle. He suggested that overall enthusiasm hasn't exploded the way promoters might hope. Still, he sees upside for Davis in gaining better publicity again. Through recent months, outside-the-ring issues have overshadowed his elite performances, so a massive spotlight helps rebuild public favor. White noted that Paul has advantages in reach and physical dominance that could create stressful situations inside ropes. If a continuous forward push occurs, Davis must find clever ways to escape corners and respond with counters. White's comments combine skepticism and acknowledgement that success here could change future opportunities.
Jake Paul to beat Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around. That's who I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible. And the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So I do like it for this reason, though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole.